is the current value of the property, $750,000, and the tax on that is $337,500. So that gives us a balance sheet of current year income and the value of the building at $806,000 against current liabilities, the borrowings at $600,000 and the total tax liabilities at $337,500, giving the fund a negative equity position of $131,500, which is a pretty bad investment result for that year. And the reason I chose residency is, yes, this is an extreme example, and I'm a lawyer and I like to use extreme examples to frighten people, but residency is it's a very important area of compliance because the ATO has no discretion in the area of non-residency and declaring funds to be non-complying. If you fail to meet the residency test, then the fund becomes non-complying and the ATO has no discretion. In all other areas of SMSF non-compliance, there are two assessments made. Is there an instance of non-compliance, and are the trustees of the fund culpable? So did they actually know they were not complying and not do anything about it, or was it inadvertent, or have they tried to address that non-compliance in some way? So that can be a problem at any time if you have trustees acting in that way, but the residency example is perhaps the simplest one to use because of that fact. Any questions on that? ATO issues still outstanding. Refinancing, on their ruling last year on what constitutes a borrowing and maintaining a borrowing of money, there was passing reference made by the ATO to this refinancing issue, that a refinance actually constitutes a new borrowing of money. But they haven't published any specific ruling on that point. And I would be hoping that the next thing we hear about it is from Treasury with an amendment to the legislation. Can multiple drawdowns from a single loan facility satisfy the new laws? We're waiting to hear from the ATO on that, but the position really is that provided each new drawdown is applied towards a purchase of a new asset, then I'd argue that that is compliant. An interesting one is, which I glossed over when we were looking through the relevant section, was this concept of a replacement asset. I think that is really targeted towards lending against listed securities, but there's been very little guidance about why that exception and why those references to there being an original asset or a replacement asset, why that's been included. There's no real guidance in the second reading speech on the